What's going on, guys? Sam Brown here with the man, the myth, the legend, Chad Aichs, world record holder, powerlifter, coach, columnist for elitefts, with 3 things you can do to get a PR your next training session. Chad, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
So, what's the first thing we can do to PR our next training session?
The first thing, I'm not guaranteeing everyone's overtraining, but overtraining is one of the things that I see most people experience. So even if you're not completely overtrained, like take a week off of benching, like just no benching. Even if you don't think you're that overtrained, like go in, skip your main bench movement and just do the rest of it. Give your shoulders a little break, give your back a break. Like that's the first thing. Like just see where you're at. If you are overtrained, a week off is gonna help in itself. If you're not, it's probably not gonna hurt you anyway. Like you're not gonna lose strength in a week, but you can't screw yourself in a week.
Now, you're fairly well known for having a 14-day training cycle.
Yes.
Do you wanna go into that a little bit, just to kind of explain to them? 14 days, you would think that a 14-day training block is kind of a long time, because most people work on about 7 days, maybe 9 days. So
a lot of people would actually think that you're undertrained. And again, you have to apply every strength theory to yourself and where you're at. So, I mean, if I have a high school kid, 14 days probably would be undertraining for them. Somebody in their 20s who's still pumping a lot of hormones might be undertraining for them, unless they're like high-end athletes. You know, because the better an athlete we become, the better technique we have, the better intent we have, the better ability to recruit more muscle fibers we have, the more we can push our central nervous system, the more recovery we actually need. So I've had a broad range of people that I put on 14 days, and they all get way the hell stronger, and they get stronger feeling better. Better mentally, better joint-wise, better muscular-wise. So I actually started mine, I started on a regular conjugate west side template basically in 7 days. And gradually, as I got stronger, we kept spreading it out. And at some point in there, when I was training clients, I thought, you know what if I just start somebody here? And if I do start them on a 14-day split, and I'm like, dude, these guys are tearing it up, and I think, you know, maybe they're a little undertrained, then I can always pull it back.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, so it's not, I say I'm on a 14-day, but I think on my column somewhere, I went into detail, like an 8, a 9, a 10, and 12, 14. So I think I think we need to kind of flip how we look at it, where we start out going, oh, and get as much in as we can. Well, maybe let's start with it apart and then squeeze it a little tighter if we can. But if you start on a 14-day schedule and you're killing it, and especially for guys in their 40s and 50s, I've had really good success on a 14-day. Even some of the guys in their 30s, because by that time, if they have a family and work, it's like, okay, you have a little more time to spend with your family, so your wife's not killing you about being in the gym all the time.
Right.
And then you also got to think too, I know a lot of guys that do the west side template, and they're beat up all the time, and they're always coming in, they never know how their training session's gonna be. They're always having to get hugely pumped up and aggravated to hit these numbers.
Right.
Like on the 14-day, they feel way better. And so their sessions, when they do go heavy, are way better. I actually went into my gym one time and I caught like 4 of my clients talking amongst themselves. And I kind of listened in, and they're like, hey, you know, when we first started, like Chad asked me if I was overtraining, you know, and I'm like, no way, I wasn't overtrained. I feel great, I feel awesome. And they're like, after training with him for 6 months, like, I actually really do feel better now, and I'm stronger than I was.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we're training less than we did. And I'm like, isn't that the goal? The goal is, I mean, you could have a goal to go to the gym and beat the crap out of yourself every day. I actually understand that. Like, that's how I got through part of my life, I looked forward to that challenge of how much I could take every day.
Yeah.
But when I became a powerlifter and wanted to be great, that didn't cut it anymore. Like, I had to start using my brain.
Right.
And how I trained, and it's like, dude, what's our goal? Our goal is to lift as much as we can. Maybe being in the gym every single day beating the crap out of ourselves isn't going to achieve that goal.
And that actually leads us into number 2, right? So you talked about rest, you talked about recovery. You had mentioned in your article mobility work.
Yes.
I think that's something that people are usually in 2 different camps with that. One, either they do nothing at all, or they do too much.
I think you nailed that one on the head. It's either I see somebody do nothing, and then they can't even get in the right positions. And it's like, technique is positions. You want to utilize the efficiency of your body, because the goal is to lift as much weight as we can.
Yep.
I remember going to meets, especially when I was first coming up, and I'd see somebody do an 800-pound good morning that got all whites. And I'm like, dude, man, I don't think I could do that, man. That's sick. You did an 800-pound good morning. You're strong as shit. Oh, hold on. I got to go squat 9 and kick your ass.
Yeah.
Even though I think you're stronger than me. Because I knew positioning and I knew technique, and I was able to get in that position. And like, how many people do you know, oh, my shoulders, my shoulders, my shoulders.
Just holding it together
and
with duct tape.
I'm like, hey, can you, like, let's do a chest stretch. And they're like, oh, that's it. That's as far as I can go.
Yeah.
Can you touch your head? Yeah, I think maybe. And you're like, no wonder your shoulders are screwed up.
Yeah.
Like, so you don't want to do mobility because you don't think it's tough or it's hardcore or whatever you think, but you're not lifting what you could be lifting and you're in pain. Just do it. Like, it sucks. I hate it. Like, I'm super, super flexible, especially for a guy my size. People think, oh, you must love stretching. I hate it. I hate stretching. It always feels better afterwards, but I'm bitching the whole time I'm doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I want to be strong and I want to be healthy.
Absolutely. And so that's, what sort of mobility work do you say specifically for the bench press? I
think for the bench press, I look at 3 parts. First part is we're trying to retract our shoulder blades as tight as we can. We want to get our shoulders tucked in so when we press, force is like, we're not having your shoulder, you know, if you're not tight in here and you go to push and your shoulder moves like this, well, that's force going this way. That's force not going into the bar. So it's very important that we get tucked and tight and we get our shoulders depressed. Well, if all this is tight up through the pec and through the anterior head, we can't get back here. I mean, I see some clients and I'm like, dude, your shoulder blades are like 8 inches apart. Can't you? Like, I can squeeze your finger if you put and I'm way bigger than you, so if I can do it, why can't you?
Right.
So that means they're not getting in the position they could be in. They're not opening that chest up, getting those shoulders locked in. So what if we open this up?
Absolutely. And it'll allow them to express the strength that they already have.
Yes. Right? Yeah, they have the strength, they just can't put it into it because their technique sucks.
Absolutely.
So then the second one from that would be the thoracic. And our thoracic is made more to flex. And sometimes I get the movements backwards. Yeah, flex.
Flex, yep.
But in the bench, we want to arch that. And how many people actually ever put their thoracic into extension? Especially with our phones and our computers. Like, we never get that in extension. Well, if we can,
right? You see this kind of that rounded over.
Yeah,
look.
like right there. If we can get this to bend more, it's going to allow us to get our shoulders deeper, get more of an arch here, get this up so our movement's less. And then from there, we move down into the thoracic. I mean, not thoracic, from the thoracic down to the lumbar. And lumbar is one you don't see as many problems with, but still, the bigger arch we can get, the more we can push this up, the more I can draw my shoulders under me and basically make it like a decline press.
Right.
So, but a lot of people may know this, but they never do anything about it.
That's the key.
And there's a few simple stretches you can do, and I'm no bullshit. Everybody I've ever done this with before bench pressing, that doesn't do it. I mean, like, if you're a flat back bencher, this isn't gonna make any damn difference.
Right.
Well, opening this up probably still will make some, but but if you're an arch back bencher and you've never done these stretches before, I guarantee you're going to do these stretches and you're gonna PR that day. And your shoulders are gonna feel better, and you're just gonna be like, holy shit, man. Like, that was easy.
So what are these stretches? Let's see them.
All right, so the first is opening up the chest and the anterior shoulders. And this is simple, like, everybody does the stretch. I don't know why people, they don't do it or don't understand it. It's like, didn't you learn this in like high school or middle school or something? And you can do this with a towel, you can do it with a stick, a PVC. I just like the band better because I can relax into it and actually have the band pull some tension against it. So basically all we're doing is going up over the head and down. But what I like to do is I'll grab a little close because I want it to stretch. So I'll come up. you probably see this too. I have people that get to here and they're like, oh my God, like, and I'm like, what?
You can't, and then all of a sudden
Like,
everything comes.
how do you think you're gonna bench press at all? Like, how are your shoulders not completely fucked up?
I know.
So I'll get to here, but what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna retract my shoulder blades in depression. Depression. Depress.
Yeah, depress your shoulder
them.
blades.
And then I'm gonna go back, and I'll get to where, like, right here is the first where I really feel the stretch. And, you know, with the stretch reflex and the Golgi tendon and all that stuff, I'd like to try to hold my stretches for 30 seconds to a minute. Because, you know, you get to that first 20 seconds and you're like,
You're like
hey,
fighting.
Well, that first part is,
right
it's the muscle hasn't relaxed yet. So then I'll get there and hold it for a little bit, 30 seconds to a minute. Then I'll go down a little bit. And right here, I'm retracting and depressing, and I'm actually trying to reach further behind me. Like a lot of people try to pull their humerus in, pull their chest in, like go ahead, let it open up. And just let the band do the work, let the band pull it. And then I'll go all the way down, work in little segments, you know, until I'm all the way down to here. And even here, because I mean, I'll feel some stretch here. And you can see how I just relaxed and all of a sudden my arms came way in.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back up. And I'm just picking spots in between there and just holding them.
It's pretty much where it kind of feels a little funky, just hang out there for a little bit.
And let it stretch out, because I think everybody has, like, I have a little one right here where it stretches more, and then my big one's right here where it stretches more.
Yep.
But I try to hold them through the whole range of motion and just going through it, and I'll go through that 2 or 3 times. Some days I come in and I'm like, real narrow. Okay, well, no sense spending too much time doing that.
Right, and I think that's a key factor to kind of bring up with this work, with the mobility stuff, is if you go into the gym and you feel good and you're going through things that you normally do and you're like, oh, these feel good, just go into train.
Yeah, move on to the next one, or just go ahead, because you're already, you've obviously done something throughout that day that helped increase your mobility. So why waste time doing it? You know, get to the bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one is I want to move down and stretch my thoracic spine, and I actually have I have a video attached to the article where I made my half barrel. It was easy to do.
Yeah.
I used like 1 by and then a piece of plywood. But I think this one will work, or a big chunk of PVC, or even one of the rollers or something.
Yep.
I actually like to do it I'll do it on my glute ham raise standing too, because, you know, you have that's basically a little half barrel.
Right.
It's just not on the ground. So, but we're going to use this FTS. This is which size one is this one?
I think that's the 2-board.
2-board. So I'm just going to set this down on the ground here. See if I can do this without unplugging my mic. And I'm going to put this right. I'm going to start in the lower part of my thoracic spine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hang out right here up in a Y. And then with my yoga barrel and with this one, what I'll do is I'll raise my hips up so I can stretch more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to slowly drop my hips and just kind of fold my thoracic spine around this pad.
And you're just trying to really relax into it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to let my arms, take the weight of my arms to open up my chest, and just trying to get that thoracic spine into extension. And then what I'll do is I tend to move around. I'll do 3 or 4 of them, just moving up a vertebrae, up or down a vertebrae, trying to get it all out.
Yep.
Like this one's actually pretty easy for me. Normally I'd have a little more stretch on that.
Yep.
That one's good. And then the next one we'll move to is kind of like I don't know, they call it a downward dog or something. And
oh, it's like a child's pose.
There's a yoga name for this, but I'll be damned if I know what it is. So I'm gonna start here, and then depending, these 2 stretches and there's another one I forgot that I'm gonna tell you guys too. Like, everybody should do these stretches a few times a week. Like, I know everybody's sitting at home watching TV for a little bit. This is just really good for your back. It's just good for your back health, because in our society today, we're just bending over too much. People have horrible posture. This is gonna help with all of that. So depending on how bad your back is, I got people that feel it stretch just staying up on their elbows.
Right.
And all I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to let my back and my belly sink into the floor. But this one's pretty easy for me. So then what I'll do, I'll put my hands back here and I'm gonna go up into a push-up, but I'm trying to leave my hips on the ground. And I'll do 10 of these right here. Well, for video, I'm gonna not do 10, but, and then when I do 10 of those, now I'm gonna come up here and hold it, get my head up and really drop my hips down. And another thing I like to do is I root my hands into the floor. So I'm depressing my shoulders, squeezing my shoulder blades together, and just getting that stretch, and then really stretching out my back. And then I may come down, depending on, after you do this a few times, you'll kind of get to know, I mean, there's no reason to stay here for 20 minutes.
Right.
You know,
kind of touch those end ranges.
Yeah, touch your end ranges, find out where they are, and go, hey, I think I can stretch this one out a little more over the next month, so I'm gonna spend a little more time at it. And then once you're stretched out good, okay, that's where you need to be. And as long as you get there, if it takes you one time, then do one time and be done.
Yep.
You know, there's no reason to make this
you don't spend half
last
your day
longer than possible, unless you're putting off your training session.
So we had the shoulder dislocations that you were doing before. We had the thoracic extension over the foam roller or the yoga barrel or whatever. And then we have actually in the clinical world, that position is called a Mackenzie.
But the Mackenzie, that's it.
Right?
That's
You're here,
like the PT version of it.
So what was the last?
So
what was the bonus?
The bonus here is going to be I use actual thoracic pivot, which is just a physical therapy term for it's actually shaped like a teardrop. And it's foam and it has a rivet for your spinous process.
Oh, no shit.
But they're cool, but they're stupid expensive.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
So again, I'll use PVC because my back is plenty thick enough that I don't worry about it. This is gonna work good. Or when you first start doing it, I'll take towels and roll them up really tight. And you only want them big enough to hit your thoracic and probably that wide, and then they'll kind of squish down. What I'm gonna do, I actually have I have a thoracic and a cervical. So I'm gonna get this right on my spine here. And if you do a towel, you'll be able to lay all the way on the floor and it'll be easier to relax.
Yep.
And I just like to get up in this 90-90 position where my humerus is at 90 and then my elbows are at 90. And I'll just stay here.
Just let everything open up.
And this is it's kind of easier with a towel because you can just lay there and relax. I have some of my older clients who have a lot of kyphosis in their thoracic, you know, and they're really rolled forward. And I got my one guy, I go, I know you're not doing this at home, so every day after my training, the last thing we do is 5 minutes of this.
Yep.
And you know, that's 3 or 4 days a week of that, and it's actually made a huge difference in his posture throughout the day.
Yeah. So again, you probably just go for just breaths, big deep breaths.
I'll do it for like 5 minutes, depending on. Usually I don't do it for that long, but usually with my clients, I'll go 5 minutes or more.
Yep.
But again, as you get opened up, it's not going to take you as long. That's the one beautiful thing about stretching. Like when you first start, if your hamstrings are really, really tight, you're stretching for a little bit of time. But as you get flexible, maintaining it's a whole lot easier.
Absolutely.
Like it really, if you're once you get flexible, you could stretch 3 days a week for 20 minutes and probably maintain all of that flexibility.
Absolutely.
If you just stay up and you're pushing those urges. And this one's one of my favorite ones because everybody I put on it, they stand up and they're like, oh my God.
It's like I can breathe.
Like I feel like I'm standing up straight. I go, you are standing up straighter.
Yeah.
Because you actually just opened this up and you kind of relax this, which then we're going to go down the road of hypertensive muscles. And a lot, I mean, there's, you know, we got, what's Donnie's stuff with the rollers? Tempering.
Yep.
You know, tempering, and then I've done some isometric stuff to relieve that. But stretching does it too. Nobody seems to remember that stretching can take a hypertensive muscle and get it to chill out.
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of where this works, is you're like this all day, and you actually open it up and it relaxes, and you're like, oh. So now, once you do this, we can actually get this depression and this retraction, and we're gonna get a whole lot more range of motion there. which is gonna get this chest up. We're gonna get a bigger arch, which is gonna shrink our movement.
Yep.
And I know it's cheating. No, it's not cheating.
No, it's a PR.
It's a PR. If I can get this up an inch, that's an inch less than my stroke is.
Beautiful.
Which means more weight.
Fantastic.
Like you're doing a one board all the time.
So we had the mobility, right? We had the rest. Now the third thing we wanted to talk about, GPP. You had mentioned on the podcast, if you hadn't checked that out, check out his episode. It was fantastic. Really, really good. You had mentioned GPP work in between your main training sessions.
Yes.
What does GPP mean for you and your clients?
Well, GPP, for a lot of people that don't know, general physical preparedness. And I kind of categorize GPP and recovery work almost in the same thing.
Sure. It's almost like on a spectrum.
Yeah, GPP helps with the recovery,
Yep.
which recovery work does, and vice versa. So I kind of always categorize them together. I don't see no need to separate them. So when I'm talking about one, I'm actually talking about the other two. I actually started doing GPP and recovery work because I was spreading out the schedule. And I had to be in the gym. Like, it drove me nuts. That's what got me through some of my days and some of my horrible jobs, was that at least I get to go to the gym at the end of the day. So in my mind, like, spreading it out, I'm like, how am I not going to be in the gym? Like, how can I deal with this? And I was reading some of Louis' stuff at Westside, and he was doing timed work at the time. And I go, okay, I'm going to try that. Just I'll be in the gym. And yeah, it's in the gym and it's a little frustrating. It's not lifting heavy. But once you actually start seeing the effect of it, it's actually pretty crazy. Like, because you're not lifting heavy, but it makes a huge difference.
Right.
So when I'm talking recovery, I'm talking more about coming in 12 to 24 hours later, hitting the same muscle groups, a lot of times the same movement, just to pump as much blood through there, pump as much nutrients through the muscle, get those tendons and ligaments moving, because we know they have horrible blood flow, so the more blood we can pump through there, the better. And it's not about lifting heavy, it's about literally feeling the pumping, getting pumped up and then building a sweat up and then getting the hell out.
Awesome.
And it actually speeds the recovery up like quite a bit. And then so when I go to GPP, it's like, well, GPP is almost the same thing. So say I trained legs on Monday, I'll come in Tuesday, do a recovery GPP session, and then Wednesday's off because my next bench is on Thursday. So Wednesday, I'm like, well, I still want to be in the gym. I mean, ideally, I want to train every day.
Yeah.
So that day, I'll be like, okay, I'll do some kind of GPP upper body work. But something that's...
Almost to prep you for the next day, right?
Kind of, but the next day is going to be legs.
Oh, his legs again.
So I try not to do too much with that.
Yep.
It's more going to be following with the other one.
Yep.
But it's like, this is a good day for weak points. This is a good day for mobility. It's a good day for unilateral stuff.
Keeping the intensity low.
It's a good day for sled work, but sled work's really good recovery too, because there's no eccentric phase.
Yep.
So, and then going from there, it's like, okay, well, what kind of GPP work do you want to do? My favorite is sled, and if you go to Courage Barbell, my YouTube channel, I've got 2 videos. I got a really good lower body sled video and an upper body sled video, which people forget. You can do a lot of cool shit upper body with a sled.
Yep.
And hopefully it gets you out, well, and you can do it in here, but I train mine outside, so it gets me outside, gets me in the weather, gets me some sun. But you pick up the pace, gets your heart rate up, you're doing cardio and not like some mindless, numb treadmill type cardio. So we have the sled as the main one, sled, prowler, tire drags. You can go into strongman stuff. I like doing strongman stuff on those days. Like, I mean, getting under a lighter yoke, going for a little bit longer distance.
Little farmers, a little sandbag.
Tire flips. But you gotta get the ego out of your head and go, I'm going more for reps. I don't want to flip this tire twice and be dead.
Right.
I want to flip it 20 times. And then from there I go to timed work, which timed work is, say I benched the day before. I'm going to come in and go, okay, well, we benched yesterday, so I need 1 pressing movement, I need 1 tricep movement, I need 1 shoulder movement, and I need 1 upper back movement. I'm going to do all those movements. I'm going to pick 1 movement, and I'm going to do them for 3 to 5 minutes. So say I benched, I'm going to come in and go, okay, I'm going to start with dumbbell bench press. I want to get a light dumbbell, and when I first read about these, I go, wow, 5 minutes. I'm gonna grab hundreds. I think I made like 2.5 minutes, and I'm like just toast. Like seriously, you're going for 3 to 5 minutes. I don't care if you pick 3 or 5, whatever you want. And the goal is, so basically I'm gonna stand here with the dumbbells, and I'm gonna go, okay, I'll set my timer, have somebody set my timer, and I'm gonna go, I wanna go for 3 minutes. So that means a rep every 7 to 10 seconds or 12 seconds. So I'm gonna stay here and keep tension on it, and I'm gonna come down, keep tension on it. Even if I'm using a barbell, I won't let it rest. And I'm gonna slowly go up. So it's a little bit like tempo work.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna wait a few seconds, and I'm gonna come down slowly and wait a few seconds and go back up. And you'll be surprised, even with 25s, by the time 3 minutes rolls around, you're just like, I wanna get out of here.
Right.
And so you do those 4 or 5 exercises, and then after that, I'll be like, okay, what's a couple of supplemental things I need to work on? Like I hate doing curls, I absolutely hate curls. So I'll be like, all right, I have to do curls. Like if I'm gonna work my tricep, I gotta work my bicep. I gotta keep my joints healthy. So I'll throw curls in for 3 sets of 8 to 10, maybe 3 sets of 12. If I feel like my triceps need a little more work, I may throw 1 tricep one in. But again, it's don't miss any reps. Even when you get to 10, you should be able to do 2 or 3 more reps.
Yeah.
It's just about getting it moving and getting the muscles moving. One of the other sessions I like is I call it my 100 rep session, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna say I pick those same 5 exercises. I'll go, okay, I want to do 100 reps of my dumbbell bench press. I don't care if it's 5 sets of 20, I don't care if it's 10 sets of 10. Like I need to do 100 reps as quick as I can. And then from there, the other day I did one and it just popped into my head to do it. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna superset my 100 rep thing. So I'm like, okay, I set up my incline and I set up my flat. And I'd go 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 20, just back and forth till I got my 100 reps of each one in, so 200 reps. And I like to do that too, where I'll flip-flop it, antagonistic and protagonistic. So it'll be like, okay, 100 reps of my dumbbells, my dumbbell press, and I'm gonna do 100 reps of dumbbell rows.
I like it.
And again, you're gonna get done in 20, 25 minutes. Another one I like to do, I'll go in my gym and I'll set up a bunch of different little stations. So if it's, say it's upper body again, I'll set up a dumbbell flat bench one, I'll set up some dumbbells for laterals, I'll set up some dumbbells for bent over flies, I'll set up a banded face pull, and I'll just set up all these different movements. And I'll set my timer for like, again, 20 to 30 minutes, so say I pick 25 minutes. Set my timer, and I have to keep just moving from exercise to exercise to exercise. Yeah, just keep moving. So by the time, you're not lifting anything heavy.
No.
But by the time you're done, you're like, God damn, like, dude, I'm tired, man.
That's great.
Like, and so you're just going through 25 minutes, and the whole idea is similar to winning warm-ups. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get high enough reps to kind of get ourselves not to go stupid with the weight and go, this is not about lifting heavy today. This is about pumping blood and moving and working the muscles. It's easy to get caught up in, I have to pound weight all the time. I have to pound heavy weight all the time to get heavy. That's not necessarily true. And the stronger you get, the less often you're gonna be able to pound those heavy weights.
Absolutely.
Like you're a 1,000-pound squatter, your body can only take so much of that weight on there.
Or something blows up.
Yeah, or something blows up. Yeah. So, like, when I lift, like I like to be creative. I grew up in a basement gym where like every birthday and every Christmas, I would get some sort of lifting equipment.
Yeah.
Like that's all I wanted. And so I didn't have a lot of stuff. So like I would read the magazines and see this and they're using this machine and I had to make shit up. Like how can I do that? I don't have a machine. What's another way I can do this? And for me, that was always part of the fun of training, of lifting. So when I'm training clients or doing things like this, like I want to give people like, here's some ideas, but go. Like use your brain and figure some stuff out yourself.
Have some fun with it. Right?
So like, I mean, GPP it isn't this rigid, you have to do this. And I tell people with the sleds too, I think even in my sled videos, I go, dude, I just gave you a list of exercises. Any exercise you do in this gym can be mimicked with a sled if you think about it. So I'm like, make them up. Don't do just what I did. Like do some other stuff. Like make up your own shit.
Just move it.
Yeah, and have fun with it. That's part of lifting is fun.
Absolutely.
And if you're not having fun, you're not going to keep doing it.
Yeah. There you go, guys.
So
have some friggin' fun with it.
Yeah, like it's GPP. It's like, dude, come on, this isn't rocket science. Like what's the premise of this? Pump blood, get moving. Okay, good.
Cool.
Like
fill in the blanks with whatever else you want to do.
Yeah, it's not. Be creative. Find something and challenge yourself. It's fun for me to. I mean, there's part of it's fun where it's like, okay, I'm going to do GPP tomorrow. Well, I'll figure it out tomorrow. And then like throughout that day, I'm like, what can I do? What haven't I done?
Right.
What can I try?
Yep.
You know, and that's fun for me. And I go in with a smile on my face because I'm like, dude, I never did this. I don't know what to expect. Like,
that's awesome. Man.
And even when we're, I'll talk.
No, you're good.
Even when I had my team and I was competing like on the world level, I love this shit so much. I would dream of new exercises, like literally dream of new exercise when I slept. And there was times where I'd walk in the gym with this big grin on my face, and my teammates would be like, "Oh, fuck." They're like, "What the hell did you think of now?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is gonna be awesome."
Grab some bands.
I go, "I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but we're trying it." And you know, half the shit didn't work, but it was still fun to go in and be able to fuck around and try something different. And
still moving, man.
Yeah, just have fun. It's like, dude, come on.
Awesome.
We're getting strong. We're not curing cancer. We're not sending a rocket to the moon. Like,
getting fucking jacked.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting jacked. We're pounding weight.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for Chad for stopping in, making this video, and going over the 3, 4, 5, 100 things you can do to PR your next bench session. If you like this video, make sure you check out all of Chad's work. Courage Barbell, we'll put all the links down below. We'll put the links up above, all the cards and the stories or whatever the things that they do nowadays. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one.